I mean, there's nothing that wakes you up faster than the puke alarm, when your dog's at the edge of your bed going, whoop, whoop, whoop. I jump out of bed faster than, 20 alarms going off at once when that happens.
Health, humor, life, learn, laugh, and thrive. Will entertain your brain, keep you healthy and alive. If you like paranormal, have a spiritual mind, or if you just want to listen and have a good time, then stay tuned now for a new episode as we turn off the beat and we start the show. Wiki wiki wah. Ooh, ooh, wiki wiki.
There was a time when I had my golden retriever as a kid, and I'll never forget it because it was one of the most disgusting, but yet, looking back on it, really funny moments of my life. Okay, my golden retriever I had for 16 years, loved him to death, and this is the funniest moment I can recall from it. So I was a young kid at this point. I was babysitting my little brother. My golden retriever, I think I was playing video games in my room or something like that. My golden retriever walks by my room, he looks in, he's staring at me, all of a sudden, that just happened this morning with my Alaskan Malamute, by the way. And then, so he throws up, and I'm like, oh, I'm the only one home. I hate cleaning puke. I cannot stand it. I'm like dreading going to clean it at this point. So I'm looking for the cleaning stuff. I think I had some in my room or something. And then my little brother comes over, and he's like, oh, what's this? And then he's like, oh, it gets disgusting. He's like, bleh, right on top of it. He pukes right on top of it. So now I not only have to clean one puke, I have to clean two pukes. I'm sure some of you with pets can relate to this story. Today we're talking about pet reincarnation and just a little bit on reincarnation in general. So we're getting to more spiritual topics today. I like to call this segment Conversations of the Open Mind. It's even got its own mini little intro theme song and everything. And if you don't believe in reincarnation, that's totally fine. No one's trying to push your beliefs or anything like that. But I will tell you a very cool story of how I got my recent dog and what led to me finding out that he was potentially reincarnated from my golden retriever I had throughout all of childhood that lived to be 16 years old. Here's some cool story. It's some cool stuff. This is Conversations of the Open Mind segment of Health, Human Life.
You are now listening to Conversations of the Open Mind, a show full of both controversial and sometimes out-of-this-world, mind-blowing topics, as we work to present the many possibilities of our extraordinary world. We don't tell you what to think or tell you what to believe. We simply present the amazing possibilities and let you follow your inner truth. An extraordinary episode of Conversations of the Open Mind begins now.
Before we get going, I have a few notes. First of all, I want to thank all of you for listening to the podcast, supporting us. We've been growing ever since starting back up just a couple of months ago, and I really appreciate you guys. If you want to follow us more, you can follow me on Twitter at GetFitMusic, as well as Instagram at GetFitMusic. We've been growing over there as well. We can't do a successful podcast without the support of you guys, okay? So I really appreciate that. Coming up on the podcast, we are looking for people with crazy paranormal stories. We are looking for people who have had crazy Tinder stories or online dating stories. We're going to be doing some episodes on that. They're going to be very entertaining and hilarious. I've already gotten a few in for Tinder. We're still looking for a bunch more paranormal ones. I, in fact, have stories in both those areas myself, but that'll take up about one episode. Well, maybe the paranormal will be a little bit more. But yeah, if you have a story, you can email me at healthhumorlife@gmail.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, like our Facebook page, and send a message on there. If you want to send a paranormal story or a Tinder story, please send us an audio message either to the email, healthhumorlife@gmail.com, or directly on Facebook on the Health Humor Life page. And then that'll be kind of like your application for getting on the show. And if we like it a lot and it's a great story, we'll put you right on and give you credit for it. We want the Health Humor Life to become kind of a community type atmosphere. We want to encourage our listeners to participate in the show. Also, while we're on the subject of pets, I have a documentary in which I have no affiliation with, but I need to highly recommend it. It's actually coming out as this podcast is being recorded today on April 4th, and it's called The Truth About Pet Cancer. And it's by the same people that did The Truth About Cancer, and essentially it goes into what really causes cancer. It goes into holistic therapies, holistic treatments for it, which is an alternative to chemo, is what the human version went through. I haven't watched the pet cancer one yet, so I can't tell you a ton about that, but I can tell you it's going on for free right now. Go to thetruthaboutpetcancer.com. You can watch it for free. I will be watching it as well as doing some episodes on that, because I don't know about you guys, but I care about my dog more than just about anything. So I will do anything I possibly can to protect him and make sure he's not, getting all those toxins in his body that could be potentially causing cancer over time. Another note, we do have a free ebook on healthhumorlife.com, and it goes into exactly how I was able to, a bunch of things. We're able to reduce and just about eliminate my anxiety. eliminate depression, eliminate erectile dysfunction, lower high blood pressure, fix insomnia, and it goes on and on. It's a little ebook on how I was naturally able to fix all those things. You can go get your copy at healthhumorlife.com. I put it out there for you guys from my experiences in order to help you with your experience, because I don't know about you guys, but I know that anxiety is extremely prominent in the world, and it's because of one mineral deficiency commonly, okay? It's not because we're all stressed about every little thing all the time just because that's how we are. It's a mineral deficiency in 99% of cases. And even if you don't have anxiety, we're just a high stress society, and that's not normal, and it wasn't always like that. You can find out what that mineral is, if you haven't heard me talk about it a million times already, by getting the ebook on healthhumorlife.com. As usual, this program is sponsored by the Lean Sweet Queen program, but I'm not going to play the amazing commercial until the end because I want to get this story going. So if you're a lady who loves sweets and you're trying to lose weight, this is a program that was put together specifically for you. It can help you lose up to 9 pounds in 21 days. It's an amazing program. You will hear the commercial at the end of this podcast. But you can get your free startup guide and free 1-week meal plan by going to leansweetqueen.com. Now, as I'm about to get into this crazy, bizarre, out-of-this-world stuff, I'm going to play the segment theme song, which I couldn't not use. I designed it, modeled it after the Game of Thrones theme, as you can kind of hear a little bit in it, and I just think it's awesome. It's going to open any of these crazy segments we have, and we get some crazy ones coming up. Trust me, ghost stories, alien stories, all kinds of cool stuff. This is about reincarnation, and it's a Conversations of the Open Mind, and here we go. So before I get into the actual story with my own dog and my own personal experiences, I want to just read a brief excerpt I found that kind of describes the two different models of life in a way that we look at it. And I'm reading this off a website called soulproof.com. I came across it and I thought this is a really good way to kind of open the show and give people a background on the two different viewpoints that we're seeing here. So Model A, it says, if you are like many people in Western cultures, you were taught that your life started with an earthly birth date. Your earthly life can last anywhere from a few minutes to many years, and then you die. After that, probably a long sleep in the ground until some judgment day. Then the big cut, as you are consigned to heavenly delight or burning torment forever. So in this model, your one brief lifetime determines your fate forever. Never mind that you were molested, raised by alcoholics, born a crack baby, influenced by an aesthetic family, struggled with mental illness, etc. So in this person's opinion, it's a fairly bizarre model for a deranged human, let alone for universal intelligence, the wisest and most loving power of which we can conceive. So the model didn't make much sense to this person. And honestly, I was a churchgoer my whole life, and that's kind of what they taught, and it never made complete sense to me either. And now that I've studied it more and more, the next model makes a lot more sense. And essentially it says, I'll read it before I go into it, this concept of cyclical lifetimes, if I can't say that, varying life experiences throughout eternity is a more comprehensive description of reality. This model allows for the eventual evolution of all beings, since we have more than just one earthly incarnation to learn and grow. So essentially, living life is all about learning and growing. It's all about improving as a soul, learning from your mistakes, and as is well known in the spiritual community, returning back to source once you've reached that point. So once you reach the point of acting like a monk, I guess that's when you return back to source. That may be a little exaggeration, because being spiritual doesn't mean you're a perfect individual. No one on this earth is perfect. We just try to do our best, learn from our mistakes, be good to others, etc. And we just get better and better as we go along. Now, I'll get more into this when I can bring in someone who really knows their stuff on this, because, I know a lot about this, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there that know way more than me. In fact, I know people, intuitive healers, mediums that can go well into this way more than I can. One thing that stuck out, though, on a documentary I watched is they talked about how each planet has their own reincarnation cycle. So, for instance, I'm not going to get into that right now. That's for a future episode, ladies and gentlemen, but because that's just way too much right now. I'm going to read you this story, and you guys can decide for yourself. And if you want to see a picture of my two dogs, it was from 16 years old, and my golden retriever lived till 16 years old. I got him in childhood, and my Alaskan Malamute I just got a couple of years ago. And the story of how I got my Malamute definitely has a lot of just crazy coincidences in it. So I'm going to tell you guys about that right now. But before I get in deep into this awesome, amazing story, I want to tell you about the Lean Sweet Queen program for ladies who love sweets. Right after this commercial, we'll be back with the potential reincarnation story that I went through with my dog. And at the end, we'll also talk about how to know if your pet might be reincarnated. We'll be right back on the Health Human Life podcast.
Are you ready for a weight loss program for women unlike any else in the world? Do you want to learn how it's possible to eat desserts and sweets every single day without worrying about gaining a ton of weight, belly fat, arm fat, and every other kind of fat? Then check out the Lean Sweet Queen 21-day weight loss program, especially designed for ladies who love sweets. This program takes you step by step through exclusive nutrition strategies, allowing you to shed up to 9 pounds in 21 days while eating sweets daily, and then you can keep losing long after that. It's even accompanied by short bodyweight workouts you can perform right at home at your convenience. You'll never be bored through this program as we keep you engaged, motivated, and entertained the entire time. It's unlike anything else out there. Just ask these ladies.
The information I learned about vitamins and supplements and just nutrition in general was eye-opening.
Made me realize how important eating is.
Despite not having the time to commit to a workout every day, I was able to lose weight just by changing the way that I eat. And I thought that was just crazy to me. I thought, you have to kill yourself at the gym every day to lose any kind of weight, but it's just simply not true. I lost 7 pounds in 28 days, and I've lost 3 more since.
I've lost 25 pounds.
I have lost 3 inches from my waist.
It's really helped me when I never thought it would be possible to lose weight.
This program is wonderful. Do it. It's worth it.
If you're ready to take the next step, lose up to 9 pounds in 21 days and beyond while eating sweets every single day, then the Lean Sweet Queen program is just for you. Visit www.leansweetqueen.com to get your 100% free startup guide and video. Remember, this is for sweet-loving ladies only and is available just for a limited amount of time. So hurry and visit leansweetqueen.com now to claim your free startup guide and video. That's LeanSweetQueen.com. Lean Sweet Queen. Eat sweets, lose weight, repeat.
I was about 4 or 5 years old when my parents got my sister a cat to call her own and a dog for me to call my own. We named him Simba Mufasa. Yes, I did give my dog a middle name as a kid. I think that was more my parents doing. Maybe I agreed to it, I don't know. But it was named after the Lion King. He was a golden retriever. And I still remember a flashback of picking him up. He was the chubbiest one in the bunch and the only one with a white dot on his head. The only golden retriever with a white dot on his head. My dad had most of the responsibility at first, as he said he slept in the kitchen with him as a puppy. My parents got divorced within a couple years after, and my dog was with me through that. My mom and stepdad ended up taking him in, and I spent equal time at both houses. I grew up with this dog and loved him like nothing else. The strong feeling of love for him growing up was even stronger than the one for anything I've ever felt. I would lay with him, wrestle with him, and just enjoy being a kid with him. I'm thankful to my parents for not only getting the dog for me, but also being the primary caregiver since I was too young for the full responsibility at that time. And let me tell you, that dog made my childhood. I mean, though I did feed the dog and do poop duty when I was at my mom's house. He slept with me in my room many nights and sometimes on my twin bed with me, which was quite the close situation since he was 80 pounds. He wouldn't really sleep on there all night. He'd kind of just cuddle up for a little bit and then he'd get annoyed and get off the bed. Same thing with what my Malamute does today on a full-size queen bed. The Golden Retriever had a tendency to hump when he got riled up or when we wrestled. I was a huge wrestling fan growing up and would often refer to it as his finishing maneuver. We also filmed a Jackass spoof video in high school called Dog Wrestling where we would play with Simba in ridiculous outfits and he would play back while eventually pinning us down with an inescapable humping maneuver. And yeah, it was extremely hard as a kid to get him off you at an 80-pound dog. It really was. As my dog started to get older, my parents decided to get a younger rat terrier dog named Coco, which they thought would keep him younger. I believe it definitely helped. This dog was great with him as they would play, and the rat terrier would lick and clean his ears, which Simba had trouble with when he in his older years, on the regular basis, and his ears never had problems at that point. Sadly, this dog Coco lived a short life and passed away after getting hit by a car running out of the yard. We were all devastated at that point. The time eventually came for me to go to college, and although I was happy to go to college, the saddest and most hardest thing for me was not being able to see my golden retriever very often at all. This was extremely hard on me. My dog was turning about 13 to 14 now, and I'd been dreading his time to come since he was 10. I was so worried at the time that he would pass, I wouldn't be there. I prayed all the time for me to be able to be home when the time came for his passing. My parents had later gotten 2 more rat terrier puppies, Jack and Willie, which I believe also significantly helped with my dog's longevity and keeping him active as he would try to keep up with them. One of them took over the ear cleaning as well. Luckily, in college, I had a girlfriend who lived near my parents and was awesome enough to pick him up and bring him to my house for the weekend up at college on a fairly regular basis. And I still to this day am thankful to that particular girlfriend for that. And if she's listening, thank you. I believe it was summer of my second year of college and Simba wasn't doing so hot. He would always be laying down, he had a very hard time walking, and he was having these terrible seizures. I still remember vividly a scene of him walking on the front lawn and looking sideways at me as I was sitting on the porch, and then he suddenly collapsed into a seizure. That's a flashback I'll never forget. There was another moment where I was carrying him down the stairs, since he could no longer walk down, so I would always carry him up and down the stairs, and he was dead weight. I put him down at the bottom of the stairs again, and he was dead weight, collapsed into a seizure. This chokes me up a little bit. I remember my mom saying, "Matt, it's time." I was devastated internally, but at the same time, I had known this day was coming for a long time, and I had been dreading it, yet expecting it. I knew I was about to lose my best friend. I couldn't get myself to go to the vet. I didn't think I could take that image in my mind of him passing in the vet after the shot that goes in him. And I don't think I could take that as the last image in my head, so I didn't go. I said my final goodbyes in the car, still parked in the garage. And I still have a flashback of that too. He was laying on the back seat, and I gave him a long, tearful hug and told him I loved him and I would miss him. Sorry, I had to pause because I was choking up a little bit there, not going to lie. My mom and sister left with him, and I went up to my room and laid on my bed expressionless and motionless. It was hard to believe that he wasn't coming back. I had always asked God for him to be the first one I see when my time came. I thought about my dog all the time for years and would often have tears when I thought of a vivid memory. My love for that dog stayed strong for a long time, and the hope was always in the back of my mind that I would somehow see him again, but I didn't think it was possible, and definitely not possible in this life. Fast forward to October 2016. I had wanted to get another dog for quite some time now, but lived in a condo and had a busy life, so I wasn't able to realistically do it. My roommate and I actually just decided to officially close on a house. Yes, I bought a house with my best friend. And we were closing on it in about 3 weeks and moving out of the condo. The condo didn't allow pets either. It was a weird as heck week, as I kept having this strong and powerful internal feeling all week telling me in my head, get a dog, get a dog, get a dog, get a dog. Like a powerful voice like that. And for those of you who watched the episode a little while back of, not to get all negative here, but how I caught my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, thinking about cheating, whatever, it was the same type of voice saying, look at her laptop, like a really strong voice. And what I've learned since then, or since, in the last couple of years, is oftentimes if some spirit is trying to influence you in some way, whether it be negative or positive, it often comes through as just thought form. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's totally fine. I'm just telling you my perspective of it. So that's what was going through my head. It was like this powerful feeling, get a dog, get a dog, get a dog. And I was like, why am I thinking about this? Why am I being pushed for this so hard right now? And I ignored it for several days, and the thought kept popping in my head several times, and it was very persistent. So anyway, it was a Thursday night, and I just pulled in the driveway from work and was talking to my girlfriend at the time on the phone. The thought to get a dog popped in my head yet again, and I said it out loud that I've been having very strong feelings of being pushed extremely hard to get a dog all week. My girlfriend was very intuitive and had some ability and had some medium-like abilities, so she would have visions, she would get random intuitive messages and stuff. She could communicate with spirit at times, so was kind of the norm for her. It was kind of the norm for us. We were used to it, whatever. So I told her about it, and she, we talked about it for a little bit, and then she says to me, Uncle Henry's, and I was like, what? She said she had no idea why that thought popped into her head, as she has not heard or used Uncle Henry's in years for anything. I did some research real quick on my phone and found out that Uncle Henry's was now a website similar to Craigslist. For those of you who don't know what Uncle Henry's is, which is probably most of you, because it used to be a Maine article type thing, like a little mini ad magazine that was found in Maine and like restaurants and everything back in the 90s. And now it's a website similar to Craigslist, and I honestly don't have a clue if it's outside of Maine or not. Most Mainers don't even know about it. So Uncle Henry's it's like an ad site. So it was like the most random thing. I'd never had a clue they had a website. Neither did she. It's just unreal that we even came across this. So I went on the website while on the phone with her and was reading the breed names out loud that I was coming across. All kinds of people were selling dogs on this. One beautiful white dog caught my eye. I told her it was an Alaskan Malamute, and this guy was selling him for only $200. By the way, if you want to see a picture of these two dogs, I can't remember if I said it already or not. It's going to be on the blog at healthyinyourlife.com. It's quite the extreme resemblance between my Golden Retriever and my Malamute in that particular photo, and you'll see what I mean when you see it. It might be on this podcast episode photo as well. So I told her it was an Alaskan Malamute, and this guy was selling it for $200. She said, I love those dogs. I've always wanted one. And I remembered that my best friend also had mentioned those dogs, that type of breed in the past. I said, well, let me send this person a text and see if the dog is still available. The next day, I received a text back and scheduled to go and meet the dog on Saturday morning. I didn't tell a soul about it. And after I had scheduled this meeting, the internal feeling in my head was telling me, as I was questioning it and, debating if this is the right thing or am I going to like this dog or whatever, the voice was saying, you're taking this dog home. You're taking him home. You're going home with him. He's coming home with you. That's what it was telling me. Saturday morning, I drive without telling a soul, not even my girlfriend, I was going to see this dog. I drive 2 hours to the Pittsfield, Maine area. I meet the dog and the owner, Jake. The dog was named Everest or Evie at the time for short, seemed very pleasant. He wasn't fixed, so the first thing he tried to do was hump me right off the bat, which I thought was funny. As you said earlier, my Golden Retriever was infamous for humping, as are many dogs, I know this. Jake didn't think I noticed what he was doing, the owner. Didn't think I noticed that he was straight up humping me. He said he was leaving in a couple days, and he had tons of calls about him, but I was the first one to meet him. So he said he had literally hundreds of inquiries and a lot of calls, and I just happen to be the one that shows up, the first one that shows up, which is crazy to me to think about even right now. He also told me that this dog had been just left at his house randomly by his wife's childhood friend that never spoke to them again. So she asked them to watch him and just dropped him off and never came back, which is crazy. And they had to get rid of him because they were moving down south, and he couldn't take him with him, is what he said. He says he's yours if you want him. I had a strong feeling I was taking him home up until this point, so I knew my decision. I said, yeah, I'll take him. So I went across the street to the ATM, took out $200, and headed straight home with him. And still and I still remember the car ride back. He was whimpering a little bit, going through a change, and I was just like, "What am I? I've never owned a dog on my own before. What am I going to do?" But no, and I was, I was anxious. I was kind of stressing out about it, but at the same time, I knew it was the right decision. I surprised my family and my girlfriend with him when I got back. I surprised her at the hospital and had to wait for her to come outside of the parking garage, and yes, she was very surprised. I had to urinate really bad at this point because it was an 1.5-hour drive, so I asked her to watch him for a minute in the parking lot so I could run in, and then when I come back, she tells me that the dog was very concerned when I left and was crying looking at me to leave when I went inside, and I thought that was weird because I just met this dog. Yeah, he said he was looking at me like whimpering after I left. I didn't hear this or notice this at this time. On a side note, she also said that he humped her against the wall as people were driving by asking if she was okay. So the dog, as I said, he wasn't fixed, so he was extremely hard to hold back from humping before he was fixed. Fast forward to a week or so of owning this dog, I had to keep him in my condo against the rules for a couple weeks until we moved into the house. The dog was very jumpy at first, and we think he may have been abused, like he would whine when pulling on the leash kind of thing. We also thought he was older than the owner had suggested because he was walking around very slowly and mopey and all that. So my roommate got home before me one day and took the dog, now named Skye, I renamed him from Evie to Skye because I thought Evie was way too girly, for a walk. My roommate, who has also had intuitive and spiritual experiences himself, has said when he was walking the dog, he felt the strangest thing. He randomly texted me out of the blue when I was still at work, saying that he could literally feel the dog thinking about me during the walk and felt strong feelings. I had only had this dog for a week, and I was feeling unusually strong feelings for this dog too, of really just loving him a lot. And I'd owned other dogs in the past. My family had several other dogs, and never have I ever felt as strong as I did for my golden retriever for those dogs. And this was the same type of feeling I'm describing here. So I told my roommate this. After another week went by, I was at my girlfriend's house with Skye, short for Skywalker. My girlfriend is a Reiki Master, which is a form of spiritual energy healing. For those of you who don't know, I'm Reiki 2, on my way to Reiki Master at some point. She had performed it on me many times before. She had performed Reiki on me many times before. Often, when she's performing it on someone, she will naturally be able to see into part of their life, emotions, and sometimes even attract deceased loved ones, which she is also capable of feeling if they are around, hanging out in the area. So this is a common thing for those of you who don't know, so don't think that she's just, some crazy person that thinks she can do this. In the spiritual community, there's tons of people that can do this. Most people don't talk about it because it's ridiculed. I'm one of those who's not afraid to talk about it, and you'll start hearing about it more and more as the years go on, I'm sure. My girlfriend used her abilities while doing Reiki. She was describing to me what she was feeling while doing it. She described seeing mountains and snow and such. She said she had felt this dog was a human soul at one point. She said she could sense a past life in which my dog's soul and I were both humans and extremely close best friends. So hold the phone right there. A dog was a human? I know that sounds crazy, but in the spiritual community, it's commonly known that we can live different lives as many different things, just depending on the experiences that we choose we want to experience. So, moving on. That's what she sensed. We'll just leave it at that. She could sense that we were in some sort of war together and one of us died, etc. And then she said that she felt that the soul was Then she said she felt that this soul was also the soul of my childhood golden retriever. And as a side note, I went to another intuitive healer who's a very experienced healer, medium, etc., does spiritual healing, all that kind of stuff, medium, and she confirmed this too. She confirmed that she sensed it was the same soul. And of course, rewinding back to last week when I was feeling those strong feelings of love, I mean, the thought of that this could be my old dog never even entered my mind. You know what I mean? It was kind of just like, it was very weird. So I had to clarify whether that's what she felt. She had no idea at the time of the extent of the love I had for my golden retriever growing up as a kid. I said, "Are you serious?" in a very shocked tone. "You were saying that this soul is the same as my childhood dog Simba?" She said, "Yes, that is what I'm feeling." I had never in a million years thought I would see my dog again in this life. And before this moment, I'd never really talked to my girlfriend at the time about my golden retriever very much because, it was very long in the past. So I had never in a million years thought I would see my dog again in this life. It was always my thought in private prayer that I wanted my golden retriever to be the first one to meet when I pass, etc. It was always my number one wish to see my golden retriever again. I'd always thought to myself for years if I had one wish in life, I would bring him back, as I just said. Hearing what she said, it all makes sense. The being pushed to get it, excuse me, I was being pushed to get a dog for a week. the powerful feeling of love after shortly getting him, and the emotions he showed towards me shortly after getting him at the hospital. It kind of all came together. And then when I started to pay attention more, I began seeing many mannerisms of my golden retriever in him. My golden retriever was gold with a white dot on the top of his head, the only one in the litter with this feature. Skye is a white dog, but he has a golden tint in his fur on the top of his head and back. I thought that was a neat coincidence, and still to this day, I've seen a lot of white Alaskan Malamutes. I have never seen a photo of one that has a golden back. So if any of you have any photos out there of one, I'd love to see another one. There's one look he does with his eyes that looks almost identical to what my golden did. Just looking in this dog's eyes and being around him gives me the same exact feeling I had with my golden as a child. I look at the photo on the urn of my golden that I have of his ashes, and then I look at Skye and I'm like, damn, that's totally him. And that's just my intuitive belief kind of thing after realizing this. As I was still in disbelief and questioning this in my head, I had a session with my intuitive spiritual healer who has done some awesome spiritual work with me. And I told her, and I mentioned this person earlier, I told her the story of my dog, how it came about, the feeling I felt, and what my girlfriend had said. Her response was very nonchalant, as this was a very normal thing to happen to her. She said something along the lines of, oh yeah, my cat was reincarnated. I found him like last year. I'm trying to track her down now. Oh wait, no, she didn't say. She said, oh yeah, my cat has reincarnated as well. I'm trying to track her down now. I believe she is in this particular litter, is what she told me. So it's a very nonchalant, normal thing for her. So this is like a very advanced kind of spiritual person who's used to these kind of things. For those not familiar with the spiritual side of things, there's a lot of aspects of life that are very normal for spiritual people. Okay, I'm reading some of this is pre-written, by the way. So many of you may think I'm completely crazy right now, but you know what? I'm totally fine with it because I enjoy talking about this stuff, whether people believe it or not, because it's very interesting to me. And it's very entertaining, whether it's true or not, And you'll hear a lot about this kind of stuff on this show. Because, you know what, personally, I'm not afraid of ridicule. I'm not afraid of what others think. And I really hope that people get a lot out of this and will keep an open mind, do their own research on this stuff. Not necessarily believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. I mean, I don't expect that. Come on. Anyway, just looking in my dog's eyes for me is enough proof that this dog made it back to me in this life. It's an incredible miracle that I never thought was possible. The crazy thing, too, is Skye had two owners before me, as I mentioned, that both gave him up. And he's the most incredibly well-behaved, trained, loving dog anyone could ever meet. He wouldn't harm a fly, despite his sometimes intimidating look. He walked out of the condo one time, and the older lady next door was coming out of her house, and she almost had a heart attack because she thought it was a wolf. Because he kind of looks like a wolf. He kind of looks like the Game of Thrones dire wolf. What's his name? Ghost. So having my dog has literally been the greatest gift I've been given in this life, and it's still crazy to me thinking about it. And I'm grateful for many of the gifts I'm given in this life. To me, it's truly a real miracle, and I couldn't be happier with once again finding the dog that truly is my best friend. That has been truly my best friend my entire life. So that's the story of my dog. I mean, take the story as you wish. It will resonate with many of you out there, and others are just not ready to kind of hear this, and you will think I'm probably a nutso, which is totally fine too. Not all of us are at the same level of vibration or are ready to accept or hear any of this kind of stuff or believe in it, and no one's forcing you to believe in it anyway. We all have our own beliefs, and the most important thing is just we respect those, that's all. And, and I hope that some of you out there who are listening to this are at the very least entertained by this story. Personally, I'm eternally grateful for this, potential happening, whether it's my dog from childhood or not. I love this dog with all my heart, and I love my golden with all my heart, and they've really made my life a big part of what it is today, which I'm sure many of you guys with your pets have experienced this as well. One thing I want to get at before ending is another crazy thing that happened with my dog is I had a very close call of losing him a few months back, which really was extremely traumatic for me. And it was another miracle in the fact that I didn't lose him. I live on a kind of dead-end road, but it's not far from a busy street. And the door was left open one day, and he got out, and he's a runner. My dog got out. And this is the first time he made it all the way to the busy road. And it's very traumatic for me to think about right now. I was chasing after him, in which I shouldn't have been, but he was kind of out of a panic, you know what I mean? And he decided to cross the road to run away from me, which was a very high traffic road. And literally I was screaming at the top of my lungs when I saw this, louder than I ever have in my life, screaming his name. I had tunnel vision. I was not paying attention to any cars coming or anything. My dog ran across the road. A car came. And to this day, I don't know how this even happened. A car came. I saw his leg go underneath it. The car hit him. His leg go underneath it. He gets up, keeps on running. And I was in total shock, just out of my body right now at this point, thinking that I was going to lose my dog no matter what when this happened. I was just in complete shock, disbelief. And at this point, I was sprinting across the road, not looking at anything coming, just tunnel vision towards my dog. And somehow he was still running. And, I couldn't even feel a feeling of relief at this point because I was just in such a traumatic shock. And I ended up chasing him down, and he's impossible to catch, by the way. And if he's running, and someone else grabbed him for me, gave him back to me. I walked back to the house with him, grabbed by the collar, and literally sat on the couch for 3 hours just in complete disbelief as to what just happened. It was definitely a wake-up call to me. I mean, I guess to really just appreciate what's most important in life. It scared me to death. I'm thankful to this day that miracle happened. When I was talking to one of my spiritual coaches about this, Skye, who actually, they teach Skye, for those of you who have heard of that. They'll be on the show really soon for an interview. He was saying how, your vibration is high and your dog's vibration is high. So because of that, the situation had a positive outcome. So that may make sense to some of you out there. It may make sense. Power of positive thinking, I guess, which is taught often nowadays. No matter what it was, I'm so beyond thankful that I still have him here with me, and it's just unbelievable. So this is one question I have been asked several times in the past when I brought up, reincarnation, pet reincarnation, that kind of stuff, is how do you know if someone's or something's reincarnated? Well, honestly, it's really hard for us to ever know for sure. The only way you can really confirm it to yourself is if you know you have a medium or a intuitive type person that you really know and trust well. I only have 2 of those, and there's a lot of fakes out there, so you have to be really careful. But ultimately, it comes down to your own intuition and trusting your gut feeling with it. Okay? And you know what? In honesty, it doesn't really matter anyway, because whether my dog's reincarnated or not, I'm going to love him just as much. Oh yeah, and if you want to see the reincarnation photo or, tons of dog photos and stuff, because I'm a little obsessive, follow me on Instagram at GetFitMusic, GetFitMusic. That's also the Twitter name as well. Love to connect with you guys on there, and I interact frequently on there as well. This is me speaking from the heart on this episode, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember, when we have these conversations of the open mind episodes, no one's forcing you to believe anything. I mean, take it as entertainment if you wish. It's not a big deal at all. We all have our different beliefs and stages of where we're at in our thinking in our life, so it's really not a big deal at all. But I really hope you enjoy the story. We're entertained by it at the very least, and I look forward to doing more of these episodes in the very near future. So remember, if you have any paranormal stories, if you have any Tinder dating stories that are crazy, please send them over to healthhumorlife@gmail.com or send an audio message to Health Humor Life Facebook page. Thank you for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate it. I love talking about this stuff. I love doing this stuff. I'm a health professional, but there's just way more to life than just basic, talking about fat loss and stuff. So these are the episodes that I really enjoy. Thank you for all your support, guys. We are growing as a podcast, and it's all because of you and the Health Humor Life community, so I thank you for that. And then please join us next time. Love having you guys. Any feedback to the show is highly appreciated. I hope you all have a wonderful week full of positive happenings and just great stuff. I will see you next time as we keep growing our audience, which is all thanks to you, with new shows, with paranormal shows. We're going to have the online dating stuff coming up, so send your stuff in. It's going to be awesome, and it's all because of you guys supporting us and helping us grow. Thank you, and I will see you next time. I'm Matt Michael.
Thank you for listening to the Health Humor Life podcast. I really appreciate your support, guys. I just want to take a moment to remind you that you can join our email list, view show notes, and the blog, as well as get some free guides on healthhumorlife.com. The guides include various topics, including how I lost my 50 pounds in 3 months, how I was able to naturally cure my chronic anxiety, depression, insomnia, lower blood pressure, eradicate erectile dysfunction, and much, much more. I put these together from what I've been through to help all of you who may be struggling with these issues too. You can also request topics or apply to be a guest on the website too. And you can do all this by just visiting healthhumorlife.com. As always, if you have a minute to leave us a positive review on the podcast listening station of your choice, I would really appreciate it, and it helps us out a ton. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. I'm Matt Michael.